You are listening to the Mark Lesko Podcast, a podcast by diehard fans for fans. Mark covers all things Penn State football and the Pittsburgh Steelers, as well as anything related to the sports and fitness world. Tune in weekly to listen to a couple of dedicated fans talk about these topics without filters. Thank you for listening to the Mark Lesko Podcast.
What's up, Steeler Nation? Welcome to the Mark Lesko Podcast. I'm your host, J-Rod, and this is Steelers Central. Well, let's get right into the kickoff topic. What do you learn from a loss? Or I entitled it, What You Learned from a Loss. Works same way. Well, it's been 4 days since that game, and it still sucks. But move on. Get into the next week's matchup. Just realize that, yep, it's one game. Hopefully they only have that attitude when, you play FC North opponents on Thursday nights on the road. It's really the only thing I can say about that one. And, the reason why they lost that game was primarily the defense. And I decided to use them kind of as the main focus of what you learned from a loss. Like, if we look here at the depth chart, you see that our defensive tackle is, of course, Cameron Hayward, and our nose tackle is Keanu Benton. Defensive end, Derek Harmon, of course, TJ, and then the line, Patrick Queen, Peyton Wilson, and Alex Highsmith. And then you have outside guys, Darius Slay, free safety, Juan Thornhill, strong safety, Deshaun Elliott, right cornerback, Joey Porter Jr., and nickelback, Jalen Ramsey. The thing that you would probably, if you were to rate these guys from best to worst, I would say, I don't know how much really can be put on guys like maybe Highsmith or Elliott. So I would say they would probably rank the best of these guys in the group. And then I would probably go, more likely to Watt would be then the next guy down the list. Then I guess not so much Peyton Wilson truly, but then it starts to who are the culprits or who did not show up in this game kind of ordeal. And I'd like to think the very first name that comes to mind with this defense is probably Patrick Queen. I mean, Patrick obviously just did not have his best game. He did not show up. It was like maybe a tackle. It just seemed it was like they were non-existent. And Derek Harmon probably would be the next one I would think of. Because, yes, being a rookie, he finally did play like one for the most part. It just seemed like, again, miscommunication and or lack thereof of either communication or effort. There was a lot that was going on with this defense, and it felt like that was the general emotion where it's like it's Thursday night, we just played, not really in the mood to do this again. And I get that. That takes a lot on you. And again, that's not exactly the toughest offense, Cleveland. So I don't understand how, you had to contain Judkins all entire game, but then 3 days later you had to contain the wide receivers, of course, with Chase and T. So then, of course, be the points finger to then Joey Porter and Jalen. They were getting gashed every single part of the night. Now, the one thing positive you can take from this game is that they are not going to see another tangent like this probably for the rest of the season. Probably. I think there's maybe 2 or 3 other teams tops that you have on your schedule that have this type of setup with Jamar Chase being an insanely good wide receiver and T. Higgins being basically the same guy. It's an insane 1-2 punch you got to deal with. And I don't think many teams in the NFL have that 1-2 punch like this. So imagine if Cincinnati had a defense. Oh my goodness, this team would never lose. It's true. I mean, it doesn't really matter. As long as you have a quarterback that can throw, Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, they just knew how to play the Steelers. Again, it's a familiar opponent. Again, would readjusting. I mean, putting certain, like, would it matter if you put Brandon Eccles over Joey Porter? I don't know. That's an interesting question. And then if you look at maybe putting, or if you replace him with Darius Slay and then Jalen Ramsey has to go in, and then for Elliott maybe forced to do something like as the nickelback, or I don't know, Jabril Peppers maybe takes over for him, and maybe Thornhill. I mean, I know Miles Killebrew's hurt right now. I've seen the injury report. So not having him as a backup, that makes it a little uncertain. So the bottom line is Cam Hayward and them, TJ, like you gotta get back to what it was. And again, I'm asking a lot from these guys who are in their 30s now, but that was really the case. The fact that we didn't have that consistent and reliable play calling from them. It's just that, and again, with a defensive back, I mean, with like Keanu Benton, I mean, the nose tackle position, like, yeah, he had the one big sack at the beginning of the game, but then he disappeared completely after that part of the game. I mean, he definitely did not do his assignment. And it's like, could Yaya Black be the guy to maybe replace Keanu? I think that it would be an interesting discussion. I mean, there's a lot of pieces you can move around with this, but the guaranteed thing, Cam Hayward stays a defensive tackle. TJ and Alex are, the outside edge rushers and everything. But, like with guys like Cole Holcomb and Nick Herbig, they do need to be on the field somehow. And yeah, I'm curious to see what will happen with guys like Yaya Black and how they're going to adjust for the next couple of games. Not to say that they have to do a complete flip around because of this one game, because it is a different opponent. You have to know who you're playing and preparing for, and they didn't care to do either one. So again, this might just be a fluke, but yes, it's definitely a concern for Steeler fans, where it's like, you haven't seen this defense look like the team it did like 10, 15 years ago. Like, they just seemed like everybody knew their assignment. Everybody was, buttoned up completely. Like, these last 3 weeks have been kind of reminiscent of that. It was very much a nice, callback to that time. But then you see again what happens when they don't prepare, or if they don't care, they look like they do. And again, I can only hope and chop it up to the fact that it could just have been this one-time thing with the Steelers, but only time will tell. Like with again, it was nothing to do with the offense. I think, between Aaron Rodgers and company, the offensive side of the ball did absolutely everything it could to stay in that game, but we could definitely showed a lot of miscommunication on defense. So that's the thing you got to fix and button up. Hopefully with this upcoming matchup. I mean, yeah, Romeo Dobbs, or Dobbs, or how you say his last name, but he, being the sole wide receiver, it should be a much easier matchup to deal with. But yeah, I'll get into that tomorrow when I talk about my picks. So let's move into my halftime show topic. I mean, is the defense fixable? Like, yeah, I mean, I just went over pretty much everything. So it's definitely the next issue with knowing, can this be a fix, or could it be something that, again, could you just chop it up to this particular game? Again, this all comes from Mike Tomlin and coach. Like, I just don't understand how this is still a problem. This is still a topic that we constantly bring up with this guy, where, he doesn't care to do this. He doesn't care to, be better than this for next time. And he just keeps on doing what he does. Where does it all come from? I mean, it's an ego thing. It's definitely, he's been doing it now for over 17, 18 years. So you're dealing with the guy who doesn't, ever get any type of scrutiny. He doesn't get any type of negativity. He constantly does whatever he wants. And it's always about the player's execution that it never delivers. And they always think that that's the way to point the finger, where, it's obviously the Tomlin has to be a certain coach, and he does not care to be that type of coach. He just wants these guys to do their job, and he wants to just reap the benefits of what they do best. And that's just always play and be efficient. I mean, what is it? I think for the most part this season, yeah, I'd like to think that who's been the most solid? I mean, Highsmith has been kind of dinged up here and there, but he hasn't been like completely, terrible. Peyton Wilson, again, it's like there's a lot of like inconsistency with every player where it's like one game they'll show up, but then there was that one stretch where a couple of games where they weren't there and then they show up for the one game, or it's very much a tough situation back and forth. But what more can be said about it? I guess for the last topic, I guess I can bring up the schedule for the NFL and recap exactly what went down from yesterday's games. And we know that result. I mean, yeah, Sunday's games, they were full of a lot of action with the Eagles and the Vikings 28-22. That was a close matchup. I mean, these blowouts too, though, holy cow. Rams destroyed the Jaguars. We all thought the Jags were going to do something special, but now Trevor Lawrence and company, it's just yay. They've come back to earth, and now they're kind of like in the middle of the pack and going downwards. I mean, the Bears, they're the ones that's kind of like, well, they're 4-2 right now, and they play the Ravens. So I'm pretty sure that's actually a road game too, if I'm right. I mean, if we look at week 8, just a hop ahead, just a little. No, of course it's at Baltimore. Never mind. It's always in Baltimore's favor. They get Lamar Jackson back, yes. But no, it's the Browns. Holy cow. I mean, Judkins just had himself a career day. I saw he had like 3 touchdowns, maybe 80 yards or whatever. I mean, the fact that you haven't heard that, they haven't like benched or the McCarthy has not been fired. It's just nuts. And of course, 31-0. How do you do that in the NFL? That's not something you see every day in the NFL. Vegas. Man, how much longer does Pete Carroll have now? It's wonder. 2-5 now or something like that. And here we have the Carolina Panthers at a 4-3 record with a chance to, stay atop with the Buccaneers. Like, what the heck? I mean, I know they're not going to, but it's kind of crazy to think that they have been pretty successful these last few weeks. And of course, the Patriots are doing what they're doing with Drake May, not Derek. But yeah, like Mike Vrabel and them, like he had his revenge game against Tennessee. Yeah, good matchup. And I saw the score to that one. It was 19-0 in the fourth, and then the Broncos scored all those points in the fourth. Like, dear God in heaven. Talk about a completely and total inept team with the Giants. Like, how do you blow a 19-0 lead in the fourth? I mean, it's like almost like the fix is in or something like that. Dude, there's no way that can naturally happen. That cannot be a normal thing. I mean, if that's happened, it has to have happened a handful of times in the history of the NFL. And look at these Indianapolis Colts. I think they're 6-1 now. They got to have the best record in the NFL. I don't think anyone has anything like that. Chargers are still dinged up, but yeah, to go on the road in that kind of environment, that's an impressive thing to pull off. And of course, Green Bay with the Cardinals. Now the Cardinals have lost 5 straight. They're like, decimated. They don't have a whole lot to play with. Yeah, it's definitely Mike LaFleur's team. He's doing some pretty spectacular things. He's right now atop the AFC North or an NFC North, and the Tigers or the Lions, they play tonight, but they could be still on top. We're going to find out about that tonight. But still, with the Commanders, what a disappointment. I know that they are decimated offensively. They don't have a lot of, backups that can stand, but geez Louise, the Dallas Cowboys putting 44 up. Dak Prescott's going for the MVP this year. Holy cow. Who'd have thought that? I mean, all these years, what has it been now? 8-9 years with this guy, and he has just constantly been a person who's dealt with all the scrutiny and all the headaches that Dallas is, and now all of a sudden they have 2 wide receivers they can throw to, with CeeDee Lamb being back and George Pickens. I mean, whatever. They're still 3-1, but yeah, the Eagles, they pulled their win out, so they're still atop. But Cowboys could be coming. If they keep putting up points like that, how can you stop them? And then you have the 49ers beating the Falcons. I mean, the Falcons were hanging on to that second place spot in the NFC South, but yeah, it's definitely the Buccaneers to lose now. And yeah, San Francisco's still finding ways to win. They're 5-2. The Rams are 5-2. It's a pretty tight division right now, still in the NFC West. But yeah, it's certainly a lot of good games, a lot of good matchups. So here, well, I guess what we're going to be talking about tomorrow again, guys, with the picks coming up for Tuesday, you're going to see the results or the setup for the Packers game. I'd like to think that they have a shot to do something against that team. I mean, I understand that they're playing really great. They're on a good streak right now. And again, Matt LaFleur, he's going to be coming. I don't know, Jordan Love is going to be a huge test, but it's certainly going to be something to keep an eye on. So we'll be back tomorrow for the weekly Tuesday Pittsburgh picks, and I will see you guys until next time. Until tomorrow, guys, here we go, Steelers.